Sometimes, especially when our human self is hurting, we don't find the sustenance and nurturance that we're really seeking in the transcendent light that pours in from above, from what we might call the divine masculine. In these moments, we might turn to the divine feminine, and especially her aspect as divine mother. If we imagine that the divine masculine is holding everything in creation within its infinite and eternal light, we can also imagine that everything is equally held by the divine feminine in her vast and endless luminous darkness. Whenever we're emotionally challenged, we can let our awareness turn toward the belly soul center and the second chakra. We might even place a hand over that area of our belly that's nice and rounded below our belly button and above the base chakra. And feel deep within us the luminous darkness of the divine feminine, holding and containing and comforting all that we are going through emotionally and all that we ever have experienced and endured on that level. And so you can gently invite your breath to travel down into your belly, into the very depths of it. And as you feel the breath breathing you, you can begin to sense more and more fully that deep, dark, luminous, feminine presence that rests deep within you in the belly soul center. Every emotion that you're experiencing, every past wound, every trauma, everything that you've ever endured emotionally can be held and contained within the vastness of that luminous darkness, that chocolatey, velvety darkness that simply holds and accepts and allows whatever is going on and says, it's okay. It has a place here. It can be everything it needs to be so that it can transform into its next expression through you. Nothing needs to remain the same within the luminous darkness. Everything can continue its transformational process and move toward the wholeness and the healing that we know are the real truth about ourselves. And we can let all that we've experienced, all the emotional sides of ourselves, be held within the luminous depths of that darkness for as long as we like. And you might want to pause the recording here to let that process go on as long as it likes. And there's another, more representational way that we can open to experience the energies, the nurturance, the comfort of Divine Mother. And that is through envisioning her as the divine presence of motherly love, motherly acceptance, motherly, tender, loving care. And so you can allow that vision of her to manifest in your awareness in exactly the way that that's wanting to happen. You can just simply breathe open a space, perhaps in your belly or perhaps somewhere else, that she begins to come forth into your awareness in a physical, tangible way, a way that you can see, you can relate to, you can sense her features, you can sense the size of her, the clothing that covers her, that enfolds her, and the expression on her Divine Mother face. For she is the mother of all mothers, and she encompasses and embodies all of the qualities and characteristics that we most yearn for in that sense of mothering, of loving us unconditionally, of inviting us into her embrace, of letting us rest in her endlessly welcoming lap. And so all you need to do, all any of us needs to do, is let this process unfold. Let her embrace us. Let her comfort us. Let her infinitely loving and tender energy enfold us with the kind of love that we may have never received from our earthly caregivers, but the love that we've always dreamed of, always imagined was somehow available to us. If we could only find someone that was capable of offering it. And it turns out that we have been looking for that love on the wrong level. It's probably true that no human being will ever be capable of giving us the kind of love that we all imagine deep within ourselves, in our heart of hearts, and in our belly that is carrying all of our childhood wounds, all of our memories of pain and suffering, all that we've endured in this human life and in all of our lifetimes. Because it turns out that Divine Mother has always been waiting for us to come home to her. She never really went anyplace, and she certainly didn't go away. She's been loving us the whole time that we've been having all of our earthly adventures and experiences. And she's always there, ready and willing for us to come back to her and allow her to comfort us, to nurture us, to support us in her deeply feminine way of allowing us to have all those experiences and then allowing us to come back to her to replenish our well of emotional well-being so that we're ready for the next experiences that we're drawn toward in this earthly life. The strongest experience that I have ever had of Divine Mother's endless love took place in Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Barry and I were sitting on wooden chairs in the center of the cathedral, while all around the periphery, a steady stream of tourists of all nations and all kinds of people moved through the cathedral. And suddenly I felt the presence of Divine Mother. And I sensed her saying, "These are all my children, and I love them all with a love that is endless. It doesn't matter who they are or what they've done or what they haven't done. It doesn't even matter if they know me at all. I still love them, and I'll always love them with a love that never ends." And as I sat there in the midst of this enormous sacred space, I felt it being completely filled with that endlessly loving presence and energy of Divine Mother, especially in the form of Mother Mary. And I felt her bestowing her love on everyone who traveled through the cathedral, no matter what state of consciousness they were in, no matter whether they were aware that this was her home on the planet, that this was her space, a sacred space consecrated to her millennia ago. None of that mattered. All there was the presence of Mary's divine love of her children, and every one of us is her child, no less important and no more important than anyone else, all equally welcomed, equally loved, equally accepted, exactly as we are in this moment and in every moment. And so just now you may have traveled to Notre Dame with me and experienced something of what I've shared about the presence there of Divine Mother in her Mary aspect. You may have felt that incredibly enfolding and all-encompassing love that is the truest nature of her being. And so you're welcome to pause the recording and let that experience go on as long as it likes. Bring anything that's troubling you to her. Pour it into her lap. Let her bestow her wisdom, her divine feminine knowing on whatever is going on within you and in your life. And if you'd like to return to rest more deeply in her endlessly welcoming lap, then let that unfold. And as this recording comes to a close, you can allow whatever experiences you're having to continue as long as they like. And know that she is always with you, always looking after you. And she is always caring for even the smallest details of yourself and your life as it's unfolding. So let yourself be deeply loved by Divine Mother, and let her caring enfold you in its warmth and its infinite embrace.